Hey everyone, welcome to Encore, and today I'm just going to share some tips with you guys on how to set up your brush station. So keep watching! Hey everyone, it's Koren, and you're watching EnKoreMakeup. Blend, blend, blend.
Hi, Koren. Stop using my lipstick.
Hey everyone, welcome back. So I know many of you guys are professional makeup artists or aspiring professional makeup artists, and I thought I'd share some tips on how I set up my brush station when I go to gigs in this video for you guys, so that way you have a reference or maybe get ideas on the best way to set up your brush station. And this is definitely ideal for those of you guys who do multiple clients, especially weddings when you have, 5 bridesmaids, mother of the bride and bride, or doing backstage work for runway shows where you have a lot of models to do makeovers for. And I know I get a lot of inquiries as to what is the best way to set up your brush station so that way you have a good turnaround on your brushes, especially if you don't have a lot of brushes that you bring to your gigs and you wanted to clean and sanitize them as you go. So I created this video for you guys to refer to, so that way you have an idea on how you can set up your brush station, so that way you can accomplish just that. So I have my table set up back here, and I'm just going to share with you guys a few tips. Now there are many ways that you guys can show up to your makeup gig with your brushes. Now the most popular one is probably bringing a brush belt. Now many of you guys own a brush belt much like this one, and many of you also prefer wearing it in your belt, alright, or in your waist area. And if you do that, it's best to also bring tumblers or vessels much like this from Cozzette, alright, because you're going to need a vessel that you're going to put your used brushes, okay, that you need to clean. Now another way for those of you guys who are a brush belt owner, much like I am, I sometimes, doesn't like wearing them on my waist, okay, so because sometimes it's easier, it's kind of hard to see, you have to like really bend and look. Have you done that? Or sometimes you flip the belt up just to see, where the brushes are. And sometimes it's definitely inconvenient, but it's definitely great if you're on location to just wear it in your belt, because the less stuff that you have in your hand or in your little kind of like touch-up bag to run around, the better. So that's why, sometimes I like wearing them in my waist, but sometimes it's really, really uncomfortable to do that, especially if you need to look at the brushes. So what I recommend is for you guys to get an easel. Alright, this is an easel that you can get from any craft store, arts and supply store. Alright, and it's just basically a countertop easel. Alright, and it looks just like this. So basically it's kind of like a tripod, and then you put the artwork right in the arms that stick out. So what I usually do is just set this up on a table, alright, and I simply put my belt right on it so that it stands on an easel. Alright, and then it's easier to work from that. Just like so. Alright, then I can easily just pull the brushes and I can see them all, so I know which one to go for and pick. Alright, what you can also look for are these photo frame holders. They're just countertop or tabletop photo frame holders, and that will work as well. And also many of you guys probably own brush rolls, much like this. And basically you simply unroll it and put it on your tabletop. But sometimes when you are doing quick gigs, it's easier to also just set them up on an easel. Now if it doesn't have enough body to stand up, or if you have a brush roll, like a handmade brush roll like the kind I make, alright, just like this, that doesn't have a body to really stand up, it's really, really easy. All you need to do is get a pad paper, because pad papers have this stiff board backing, alright? And you basically just put that in the back of your brush roll, alright? And what I usually do is I always have these clips, alright? And it's great to have this too, because sometimes when you're doing shoots and wardrobe's a little too loose, it's great to just pin it with these clips, alright? And what I usually do is I just clip that right into the brush roll, all right, just like that. And now you have body on the brush roll, and you simply just put that on your easel so that it stands up nicely, okay? And then again, you can easily just pick the brushes as you go. Okay, now many of you guys also prefer just the tumbler method or vessel method, much like this, where you have all your brushes in a vase or a glass tumbler vessel. All right, and that's fine as well. All right, because if you're used to just kind of sorting through and pulling them out, it's great. But keep in mind that if you do this, all right, you have the tendency of pulling the brushes from the bristles. Okay, so you're kind of like inclined to like touching the bristles. So that's why, you know, sometimes this method is not ideal unless you have a smaller vessel wherein, you know, the ferrules are sticking out a little bit more, and then you can just hold it from the ferrule. But most of the time, when it's shorter than the brushes, it's going to be top heavy because the bristles are up here, and that tends to add weight, and therefore it's bound to like tipping over and spilling your brushes. So just kind of find a vessel that's just the right size, so that way your brushes are not going to tip over all the time. Okay, so let's set up the rest of the brush station. Now that I already have my brushes on the easel, which is the easiest way for me. Again, you know, you can bring your brushes any way you wanted, like I mentioned earlier. But my next step is using a hand towel, much like this. I don't recommend using white because the makeup residue can stick to it and it's going to turn dingy on you unless you're really good at using bleach. But a lot of us kind of avoid using bleach when washing things these days, you know, unless you're a bleach user when you're doing your whites. But I recommend colored but not black because I still want to see the residue coming off of the brushes. So what I usually do is I fold this into thirds, alright, much like that, and then I fold it in half, okay, just like so. And then I use 2 sheets of paper towels, and I recommend the textured kind or the quilted kind with a pattern because the texture on it is going to help the bristles get cleaner because it's going to kind of like get in between the bristles, alright, so that's why I recommend that. And what I usually do is right where the fold is, I usually just tuck it in. Alright, tuck the edges just like that so that it looks like that. Alright, and then I'm going to go ahead and put this right into my brush station. Alright, next I'm going to use some vessels. Alright, again, vases, glasses. This is again the Cozzette vessel from Rocky Cozzette, and I usually have one for the dirty brushes and then have another one to dry the brushes when I sanitize and clean them, alright, as I go. Now if you guys are a tumbler user for your brushes, then of course that would be a separate one. So you have your tumbler of brushes, a tumbler for dirty brushes, and then a tumbler for the drying of the brushes, okay? So I'm just going to set this up just like that. And of course, the most important part is your brush cleanser, and I always make sure that I have this in a spray bottle instead of a dropper bottle. For me, it's just easier to have them in a spray bottle because the ways I use them, alright? Especially for quick turnaround on brushes, it's definitely ideal to have them in a spray bottle, much like this one. And then I just put that right here. Okay, so now we have our brush station set up, and this is all you really need to set up on your brush station. So I'm just going to show you how I quickly clean and sanitize the brushes as I go. Say that I have an eyeshadow brush or a blender brush that I used on a client, okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and put that into the dirty vessel, alright? Because just in case I'm going to use it again, then I can just easily take it from that if it's from the same client. But say that I'm already done blending and such, and I know that I'm not going to use this anymore. All I need to do is use my brush cleanser and a spray. I do 1 spray on the paper towel, alright, and then just quickly do a quick clean, alright. Again, at this point, it's not really an issue of getting your brush like super clean, but just get it, you know, clean enough and sanitized enough for the next client, okay. So make sure that the brush cleanser you use also has a sanitizer built into it. So I just usually do 5 or 6, brushes back and forth. Again, don't swirl. All right, and then that clean brush goes into my clean brush vessel. All right, and then same thing with the bigger brushes. Say I have a powder brush and I'm done with it. All I need to do is spray, okay, the brush cleanser right into the brush, and then the same thing, about 5 or 6 sweeps right into the paper towel. All right, and then for thicker brushes, this is when I try to use the towel part, because it's going to help absorb most of the moisture and the liquid, okay, from the bristle, and therefore this is definitely going to dry faster. And we all know face brushes, they dry longer because it has more bristles, it has more fibers, and it takes forever to dry. So the towel is going to help absorb most of those moisture, okay, remaining moisture, and then put that into my clean towel. Now, the reason why I told you guys to get a colored towel that's not black is because I want to be able to see if it's still leaving residue. Okay, I know the towel is going to tell you, the paper towel is going to be able to indicate that, but at the same time, the towel is also going to absorb more of those residue. Okay, so if that's still leaving residue on the towel, then definitely do another, spritz. Again, 5 to 6 times, all right, and see if that's still leaving a residue, and then use the towel to, again, absorb more of the moisture, and also to determine if it's, acceptably clean enough for the next client. And then at that point, put it on your clean brush vessels, and that's going to be dry by the time you're ready for your next client, okay? So that's pretty much it, really, just like do it as you go. This is really the best setup that worked for me, and hopefully it's going to be helpful for you guys as well. So thank you so much for joining me. Until next time, I'll see you guys soon. Bye!